Well, it's just gone around about 5:30 and we've got the sidecars down on the line, getting set to go. Lights go out and we go racing. The great start for Adam Unsworth and Stu Dorr on the Boss Engineering Windle, and they will lead it going into turn number 1. And I had it confirmed, Neil, it is Stu doing the swinging, good. So great to see him back with Adam.
Oh, well, certainly Bryce did an admirable job for them through the Suzuki Series, but hey, isn't it great when you see an old team back together? And we've seen the likes of the Lawrence brothers separated at times, and there's other boys been on board with those machines, but there's no substitute for Chris and Richie. They're the real thing.
Yeah, absolutely they are. So they will, it was Adam and Stewie will lead it. One just running a little bit wide there. Hang on, I'll just get the right timing screen up here. Just bear with us for a minute, folks. But yeah, it's the Windle. They make a big point of saying it, don't they? It's the bike itself is around about 8 or 9 years old now. Yes, it gets a refresh with the engine from time to time, but you know, Adam says himself, you know, we struggle to compete with the likes of the LCRs and things like that, but they're more than holding their own here at Hampton Downs.
Well, in fact, that's when they talk about the bike having a refresh with all the new fairing and bits and pieces, but the actual chassis is closer to 30 years old. You know, you're talking of a frame, a chassis built in the 80s with the modern technology that's come along. This is just amazing. But hey, when you get two guys as great as they are in their sidecar racing, you're looking at champions, and great to see. Well done, and lovely to see them back at this top level. And remembering they have not been to rounds 1 and rounds 2, so they're the catalyst in there in those points. They're going to split it up, but of course, where's Pete the Pirate going to go? Well, you know, the man needs all the points. In fact, 2 of the top 4 were not at the first round of the championship. And gee, that swinger's name nearly came to me, the Spike and Estrid, of course, thank you, Estrid. I keep trying to say Estrid Hartnell, and yeah, so there you go. And so Robbie on board there today, as we politely said before, not necessarily the best of swingers, but Spike, you're not too bad off.
It's great to see Andy Scrivener back. I mean, you know, talk about a blast from the past with sidecars and all the work he's done behind the scenes with the association. Of course, in the old days he was swinging with Steve Bryan. Now it's Tina.
Yep, exactly.
It's a pretty good combination.
How many of these top teams, in fact, I've already had a text today from Barry Smith. Barry's going to join us tomorrow after his very bad crash at Ruapuna. Awesome. And so he's saying he's going to be spectating here. Talked to his daughter here earlier, and she was saying that Dad's just been itching to get out here. And as much as your body's in pain and that, but there's nothing no better than the therapy of coming back to the sport you love. So I'm sure he'll be much better off for it. And hopefully Mum will be driving him tomorrow, so he'll have a life of luxury, being looked after, and everybody will just think it's the world. So look out for the great Barry Smith, folks. Yes, indeed, his points tell the story in sidecar racing that unfortunately it's win-win-win, but then unfortunately it's not 0-0-0 from there. So they won't be contenders for our championship this year, but man, oh man, is he ever contender for top sidecar driver award or what? The fantastic Barry Smith with us as a spectator tomorrow. Hopefully we'll catch an interview as we go out and about. We're doing a little bit of that in the morning for the session, because this afternoon we'll be all on for racing. Thoroughly looking forward to having Steve Parrish is our host at the Legends dinner tonight. Maybe not too late to get tickets. We're unsure, folks. So if you're thinking, wow, what a night to go and see those Legends, I'd love to see that. And maybe people hadn't read all of the parts of what this weekend was all about. So do check here at the HD office. There may still be an opportunity to get a ticket for tonight. Unsure, but there's your chance all the same. Check it out.
So the leaders heading up the hill once again. Adam Unsworth and Stu Dorr, Andy Scrivener, Tina McKeown, Pete the Pirate and Kendall Dunlop. He's the points leader, sitting in 3rd place in the 111. And then it's a man we were talking about before, Spike Taylor and Robbie Shorter. I wonder if Robbie crosses the line. I wonder if they're going to do, if he's going to do the headstand.
Oh, isn't he something amazing? So there you go. The Spike and Robbie show out there for a very good run. I always like the fact that Spike's own business is mobility scooters, and we talk about him being on a mobility scooter out there as well, a mobility sidecar. So there you go. Adam, Andy, Pete and Spike to see. Chris Lawrence, who we knew how poorly they did for qualifying. Look at that for racing. Bang! Straight into it, 5th place. Great to see. Drew Meyer, the man that, I tell you what, he enjoyed his sidecar victory more than I've seen anybody enjoy one in a long time. The sidecar guys can take a win. Pete the Pirate, would you see any excitement from him? Maybe a slight smile on his face. Drew Meyer, and he only got 2nd place. It was just like he'd won the World Championship, and just love to see that kind of affection showing through from a rider who was exhilarated and delighted with his performance, as he should have been. Mark Hall's in there, Dave MacArthur, Mick Paul joining us, Warwick Demick's in there, Gordy McEwen, and Matt Peters to make the lineup there, and that...
Doug Corns, yeah, in the LCR.
Oh, yes, indeed. So Doug, of course, to add to the group. So all in all, great spectacle and seeing our New Zealand Sidecar Championship. Isn't there just something about him, Phil? You do the work, of course, for TV and the coverage taken in the Suzuki Series in particular of Wanganui, and as we know, sidecars are one of the features. How's that kind of feedback come? People still loving sidecars?
Yeah, people like the sidecars. Well, they like motorcycling in general, and the reason they like it is because if you watch car racing, you can't see the driver. If you like Formula One, you might see his helmet, but on motorbikes, you see the rider, you see the swinger and the pilot on the sidecar. Yeah, they love them. Yeah, the ratings bear it out.
Yeah. So already very positive for this year's coverage already of last year's Suzuki Series.
Yeah, here's a development because we've lost Adam and Stu.
Oh, we have too.
They haven't come round, so we'll just have a quick scan around the track to see what's going on there. So the new race leader is going to be Spike, and Robbie, Andy Scrivener and Tina have gone back into second place now. And then it's Pete the Pirate and Kendall. Then it's the Lawrence boys, and then it's Drew and Denovan. So we have lost Adam and Stewie somewhere. I'll just have a quick scan through the cameras, see if we can see them. Hopefully it's nothing too serious. And
one of the things about sidecars, of course, is often if they've skidded off the track, they often get well off the track and out of the way. So you don't have to see a red flag that you may otherwise, unless it's going to be a Barry Smith type crash as well, where they actually literally go into a wall and hit something very hard. Then often it can be okay. Just a few spins and donuts off the track as they go a little bit too wide out of a corner is sometimes a happy ending, except for the competitors themselves. But at least it's no injury to riders or damage to the sidecar. Oh, nice work, nice work. Could have been a change coming up there. Look for Pete Goodwin. I think he's got on the inside of Andy Scrivener. Could be a change coming up for that second place. Yes, it is, and making it stick as well. So good work through there. So there you take it, Andy Scrivener and Pete Goodwin. The battle's been going on, and Pete the Pirate has moved up. And of course, he won't be worried about what Spike is doing at all, because Spike's got that advantage to be running number one, and it doesn't matter because he wasn't gaining points from that early round. So sidecars coming alive and well. Remembering Pete on 124 points, Andy 37. You heard it, 37 behind him on 87. So the 37 points that whatever you're going to see from the win, he's still going to get the 20 and ahead of Andy. So that's the more important part. So he will extend that advantage probably out to, that's another 3 points. So in fact it'll be 40 points. So it's getting out to almost 2 races. So those guys potentially could have a title won after the first day at Taupo in 2 weeks' time. They may not need the final day. So super close and exciting. Watching the sidecars. Here we go, folks. The world of sidecars. The engine is on board. It's the engineering of the bike that makes all the difference. The LCR, the Lewis Christensen Racing, these Swiss machines have just become legendary in sidecar racing. And of course, you've as well got the honour of which the Sidecar Association reflect on as well. The short chair versus the long chair is a big talking point as well. So yeah, and as well as some of them you've got with a bigger engine inside the smaller chassis or vice versa. And we certainly had watched that through the Suzuki Series, because of course Tim Reeves opted to go for the F2 machine in that shorter chassis as well. And although it was a 600 versus 1,000, he gave nothing away with his outmanoeuvring of the New Zealand guys in an awesome race. So well done to sidecars. Love your family and the racing that they perform for us here. And yes, that man we call Pete the Pirate, the prison officer, the Palmer, whichever way you know it and respect it, this guy is a great competitor. And he's out there at the moment, and as long as he stays in front of Andy Scrivener, he's getting the glory.
Well, that battle at the front's hotted up just a little bit now. Scrivy's still in the front, then it's Pete. And look at Spike's come right back at them as they head up the hill this time round. So it's going to be on for young and old here. And in fact, looks like Spike looking to manoeuvre it for a pass on the outside. We'll see them at the top of the hill very shortly. The white flag comes out this time. Whoa, and Scrivy's got a tiger by the tail now, because Pete the Pirate is in full race mode. And Spike and Robbie just drifting off a little bit there in third. And there's the Lawrence brothers on a Suzuki, can you believe it?
Yeah, exactly.
Years and years and years of supporting the blue brand, the Yamaha. They're on an LCR Suzuki.
So look at that from our earlier call of saying that it was Pete over Andy. Of course, Andy really has got the advantage. So incorrect update there, and our apologies for that. But it is Andy, Pete and Spike. to fight it out. Chris and Richie, well, they are back a further 4.8 seconds, but when you've got 0.2 of a second to separate the top three, we're certainly in for an electrifying, and it is the final lap at the moment. Sidecars with only one race class still to run today. Our showy GP 2-stroke classics and post-classic, and then our two Pirelli track sessions, fast and slow.
Corey McEwen across the line in 10th place, but we look to find the race leaders out on the circuit. Remember, they're coming to the checkered flag this time. 25 points for first place on the FIM point scale. We're talking a championship. This is the penultimate round of the New Zealand Superbike Road Racing Championship. You heard Neil say there is a huge discrepancy between first and second, but when you get to this stage, it's all about winning, and it looks at this moment like Andy Scrivener and Tina McEwen are going to win this one, but we'll wait and see as they work their way around the circuit here at Hampton Downs. We're using the international circuit for the first time. Doug Corns, should I say, Matt Smith and Matt Peters, my apologies, and Doug Corns will be the next one up over the hill. This is an amazing story. 2 seasons ago, Doug Corns was well, an amateur but professional photographer, and he got the call. He went to a track day and he decided sidecars were for him. Matt Smith said, "Why don't you swing with me?" And he did, and the rest, as they say, is history. This is our conclusion into the national championship. This is the battle for first. Oh, and who got there? Who got there? There was absolutely nothing in it. The judges have gone with the Pirate and Kendall Dunlop, and the margin 0.01 seconds over Andy Scrivener and Tina McEwen. Well, if you had said that a lap ago, I would have laughed at you because it looked like Scrivy had it in the bag, but Pete the Pirate came good. He's the points leader.